Hello everyone, this video is on purity and innocence. And sometimes when we're traveling through life, things happen. Things that we perceive taint us or dirty us. And we might feel the need to just want to wash or cleanse ourselves. Something that seems to infect the innocence that we perceive has been lost. And this can lead to a lot of confusion, but I'm here to say that no matter what has happened to you or what you have done to anyone else, everything is forgiven, everything is dissolved by a higher power. When we raise up, when we enter a higher state of awareness, all of the past gets washed away. And that cosmic intelligence, I've said this before, and it's said in the Gita, the Bhagavad Gita, it cares not for the sins or the merits of anyone, the sins or the merits. So it doesn't matter how much good you've done, doesn't matter how much bad you perceived you've done. Once you rise up in awareness, are aware of how interconnected you are to all things for all time, all of that past gets dissolved. And some of us think, oh no, I've got this karma and it's going to come back to me. But raising the level of awareness, everything's taken care of. And I've said this before, we don't know where one person begins and another one ends. We don't know what lessons and co-creations we're having with other individuals, other organizations, other communities. It's all unfathomable. And so sometimes the mind can get caught up and think, oh, this happened to me and I'm dirty, or I did this to someone else and I'm dirty. And there can be guilt. But we have to understand that when we harm another, that often comes from our own wounding, and everybody's off the hook. Everybody's off the hook. If you've hurt somebody else and you now realize you've hurt somebody else and you're sorry for hurting that person, as soon as you have the realization, you have the awareness to know what you've done, it's done. It's gone. Simply set the intention to do better next time and just forget about it. Forget about the past. You're now moving into a new way of being. And the Ganga goddess in India, we talk about the Ganga goddess, the water element. It just washes everything away. It's always there to wash away any impediments at all times. And that's a theme that's coming up now, is the Ganga goddess. And when I talk about goddesses, I don't mean actual goddesses. Goddesses in India represent descriptors in nature. They describe forces of nature. So we have a force of nature which gives birth. We have a force of nature that maintains life. And we have a force of nature that destroys. So we have birth, we have maintenance, and we have destruction. And then everything goes through a birth, a maintenance, and a destruction. And sometimes we want to destroy the old to bring in the new. We want old things to be washed away. And the Ganga goddess is a theme now in life I'm sensing it, that everything in the past is getting washed away to make a new world. There's definitely a lot going on for a lot of people. A lot of things are getting washed away. Ignorances, the idea that we're separate to our environment or to the people that we're interacting with. The idea that we're just a body is getting washed away. We know now that we're way more beyond a body, we're way more beyond our emotions and our thoughts. The vibe is rising. There's a separation between the mind and the emotions and the cosmic intelligence, a consciousness. And in order for us to step into that new reality, all of the stress is going to be washed away. And sometimes there's a shaking that goes on. When the vibe rises on the planet, there's a shaking, and stress in the environment and in the personality can get set off. And so it starts to arise, to be seen. Things that need to be got rid of will be dissolved. And so just be patient with yourself, be patient with other people. Maybe they're going to de stress a little bit while everything's getting washed away, but it's not going to be that long. Nature's very fast, works in it's evolutionary. Things can go quickly when you least expect it. Just like that, something that was non-evolutionary can be removed. Big boulders can be removed and dissolved. And when we learn to transcend, when we learn to meditate, what happens is the intelligence scans for things that need to be dissolved in the subconscious, and it'll zoom in and it'll dislodge something. And that might come up in the form of a negative thought or an emotion. And so that's good. Know that if you're emotional or you're having a little bit of activity in the mind, that's okay, it will pass. And we don't know what's connected to another thing. So sometimes you might have a stress that comes up and you think you're dissolving an argument you had with your neighbor yesterday, and you're thinking about the argument you had and what you said. They need to move the trash cans. But that argument may have been rooted in something that happened 10 years ago, where you felt taken advantage of or ignored. And it's just using the trash can and the neighbor as a way to come out of the system. And so we never really know what we're dissolving and when it's going to be washed away. And sometimes we can have a very peaceful week or a peaceful month or even a peaceful year. And then something can get dislodged, and we never know the timeline of the things that are going to get dislodged. And then we're in a bad mood, or then we're de-stressing or angry. And so it's an ongoing process. It's like a river. The river moves and it'll hit a big rock suddenly, and then that rock will have to get dissolved over time. And there's endless rocks that can be dissolved in a lifetime. There's endless things that we can dissolve within ourselves and within the collective. And so just surrendering to the process of life, knowing that if we relax, if we become centered, non-judgmental, compassionate for ourselves and other people who are going through this life experience, then it'll run smoothly. And to know that you're always an innocent little child. You're always innocent. No matter what stress is in your life, no matter what has happened to you, you never lose your innocence. Innocence is at the core of who you are. You're not the events that happen to you. You're not the past. You're not any negative thoughts or emotions that pass through your system. You're pure consciousness that can perceive those temporary things moving through you. And that consciousness is going to be untouched, completely untouched by any events in the relative world, no matter how horrific those events, no matter how traumatic. It will never touch the timeless part of you. So if we move around in the kingdom and we see people and they have traumatic pasts or pasts which the personality perceives as a bit dodgy, or that happened to that person, oh, I don't like that, oh, that seems a bit icky or dirty. Know that that person is beyond that, totally free of that on another level. And if you give yourself permission to free yourself from all of your past, then you're able to connect with people at a deeper level. And don't feel guilty. Guilt is just no point in feeling guilty. Guilt doesn't make sense because you came into a human experience to learn life lessons, to make mistakes. So we can't feel guilty for having a human experience. Guilt is also linked to perfectionism. You can't move around and live life and learn lessons and make mistakes if you're pushing yourself to be perfect. It's going to be a losing battle because as soon as you take a body, you're imperfect. Everything in the relative world is imperfect. Perfection doesn't exist in the relative world, doesn't exist in the personality. It just doesn't exist there. And so as soon as we realize, oh, I'm looking for perfection in all the wrong places, I can't find it in my partner, I can't find it in myself, I can't find it in my boss, I can't find it in my life, my body's going to change, I'm going to age, my business might fail, my relationship, there's arguments. Just give it up. Give up the fight for perfectionism, and you will maybe be released of some guilt. Guilt's a really tough energy field to be in, but also it does come from a sweet space of wanting to please, which is innocent, of wanting to be of service and not harm another being. So if we have harmed another, the guilt can sometimes be connected to our realization that on a subtle level, we're very deeply connected to that person, and what we do to them, we're doing to ourselves. And it's an unrefined state of consciousness in a way, it's an unrefined state of consciousness because we know we don't want to harm another person. And I've spoken about this before. As soon as you realize you don't want to harm another person, that means you understand you're really deeply unified with that other person. So it's an unrefined unity state. So guilt, it is pointless, but also it points towards a deeper understanding of interconnection. And so we don't want to make things black or white. We don't want to say, this emotion's bad, this emotion's good, this is black, this is white, this is dirty, this is clean. There's a whole tantric process of diving into things that we perceive as disgusting or unwanted. And if we go deep enough into the things we perceive as being impure and dirty and icky, we come out with a higher state of consciousness, because everything, if you go deep enough into it, comes out in pure consciousness. If you go into any darkness, it comes out with light. So any emotion, if you dive deep enough into it, even if you don't like it, you will come out with stillness. You will come out with an explosion of consciousness. So let me see if I can channel anything else for a moment about purity and innocence. The higher intelligence, it looks on every single individual as a child, as an innocent little child. If you've murdered somebody, the intelligence perceives you as an innocent little child. If you've had an abusive past, horrible things have happened to you, that intelligence looks on you like you're an innocent little child. If you're a porn star, the intelligence looks on you like you're an innocent little child. If you're a drug dealer, the cosmic intelligence looks on you like you're an innocent little child. The cosmic intelligence only sees innocent little children. Everybody's innocent, no matter what appears to be happening in the relative world, and everybody's off the hook. So that's very easy now, knowing that, to go into a non-judgmental space, to go into a compassionate space, to go into a space where we don't need to be perfect in the relative world, place where we can forgive. And so I pray that everyone realizes that they're all innocent little children, no matter what's happened to them, and that purity and innocence is always available for them to connect with at all times. And any blocks to that realization, may they be completely washed away. Jai Guru Dai.